All Elite Wrestling has released a tag team after they requested their release from AEW. We have the ratings for Saturday's edition of AEW Collision on TBS. The NXT Women's Championship match is confirmed for NXT Battleground. Joe Hendry will defend his TNA World Championship against Trick Williams at Battleground. Miles Bourne is the new challenger for the NXT Championship. Former WWE superstar, now current TNA star Elijah, formerly known as Elias, returns to NXT last night. Yoshiki Inamura tells Josh Briggs he's returning to Japan. Riley Osborne clarifies a report claiming he didn't want to be moved to WWE Evolve. Several matches and segments are confirmed for next week's edition of WWE NXT on the CW. An update on the timeline for the breakup of Meta 4 in WWE NXT. Several matches and segments are confirmed for tonight's edition of AEW Dynamite. There's reportedly no heat from WWE management over the roast of WrestleMania. Plus, we have the ratings for Friday's edition of SmackDown on USA. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we get started, as you can probably see right here, been on vacation for a few days, but we're back up and rolling as per usual. We're currently at 21,405 subscribers, so if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe. In addition to that, you'll be able to see on the sidebar, coming up this weekend, we've got WWE Backlash. We're going to have a Backlash live watch-along and a post-show on Saturday, so be sure to join us. Whilst you're looking at the sidebar, you can also scan the QR code and join the members of the WN365 roster. Let's begin with two stars that have requested and been granted their release from All Elite Wrestling, that being now former AEW and Ring of Honor tag team, The Righteous. Yes, Vincent and Dutch are gone from All Elite Wrestling. Now, an update on this has come after it was revealed that they had been removed from the AEW roster page. Now, over the last couple of days, as I mentioned, it was noted that AEW and Ring of Honor stars Vincent and Dutch of The Righteous were removed from AEW's roster page. Now, after their removal, PW Insider reported that the pair had officially left the company, with their departure happening around a week ago. In an update from PW Insider, Vincent and Dutch had requested their release from their AEW contracts, with their request being granted last week. It is believed that their deals ran until later this year prior to their release being granted. PW Insider has noted that the split was amicable, with one source noting that while there are no current plans for it, they could potentially pop back up on AEW or Ring of Honor programming down the line, just not as contracted talents. There has not yet been any additional word on the Righteous' future plans. They signed with AEW in 2023, and their last televised match was the Tag Team Casino Gauntlet in September of last year. WWE superstar Karrion Kross has hinted at possibly aligning with the Righteous, but of course, we've got no reports on that at the moment. Now, an update here when it comes to the ratings for Saturday's edition of AEW Collision. WrestleNomics reports that the May 3rd episode of AEW Collision scored 341,000 viewers on TBS. Now, this number is down from the 707,000 viewers the show scored on April 26th, which aired on TNT following the NBA playoffs. Of course, that was the Playoff Palooza edition of the show. Saturday's edition drew a 0.06 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, down from a 0.21 demo rating last Saturday. The May 3rd episode aired on TBS due to the NBA playoffs airing on TNT. Game 7 of the Los Angeles Clippers versus Denver Nuggets was number 1 for the night, with 3.775 million viewers and a 1.20 in the 18 to 49 demographic. The show also faced competition from the NHL on ABC, with the Colorado Avalanche facing the Dallas Stars in Game 7. The show also aired on Max. Viewership numbers for Max are not currently available. In terms of the quarter-hour ratings, this comes courtesy of WrestleNomics. Shout out to them, and be sure to subscribe to their Patreon service. Now, as you can see, the show didn't actually follow the usual pattern, with actually increasing a little bit over the course of the 2 hours, which is unlike what we've seen over the last 90 days. Now, going over to NXT, the number one contender for the WWE NXT Women's Championship has been revealed, because Jordynne Grace is headed to Battleground. Jordynne Grace will face Stephanie Vaquer at Battleground for the NXT Women's Championship. Grace earned her title shot by defeating Julia on the May 6th episode of NXT. The finish saw Grace hit Beast Mode, the Juggernaut Driver, for the victory. After the match, Grace was confronted by the WWE NXT Women's Champions. That match is set for NXT Battleground. Now, we also know another title match is set, not for a WWE Championship, but rather the TNA World Championship. Joe Hendry teamed with Hank Walker and Tank Ledger in the opening match of the May 6th episode of WWE NXT. They would take on Dark State's Cutler James, Dion Lennox, and Osiris Griffin. The match would be back and forth, but as Hendry lined up the standing ovation, Trick Williams came out and pulled Hendry out of the ring, leaving Tank Ledger alone in the ring to be the latest victim of the Super Swing Powerbomb by Dark State. Now, as I mentioned, this has been a continuation of this feud we've seen over the last few weeks. Dark State, meanwhile, they've yet to be defeated since beginning to compete in WWE NXT. Joe Hendry and Trick Williams have been having their issues since the NXT after WrestleMania 41, where Hendry called Williams a whiny little bitch. Now, in terms of where this is going, it's going to Battleground because Trick Williams and Joe Hendry will settle their differences at NXT Battleground. On the May 6th episode of WWE NXT, NXT General Manager Ava announced that Joe Hendry will defend his TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Trick Williams at NXT Battleground on May 25th. The two men have been going back and forth for weeks, including Trick laying out Hendry at TNA Rebellion and TNA Impact Live this past Thursday. Hendry got a measure of revenge on Tuesday's NXT, costing Trick a shot at the NXT Championship in the 25-man Battle Royal by distracting him and causing him to be eliminated. This is the first time the TNA World Championship will be defended on a WWE PLE. Speaking of the NXT Championship, the new number one contender for the WWE NXT title has been revealed. Miles Bourne is headed to NXT Battleground. Miles Bourne won the 25-man Battle Royal on the May 6th episode of NXT to earn a shot at Obafemi and the NXT Championship and NXT Battleground on May 25th. Bourne won the match by last eliminating Shawn Spears and Ethan Page. Page tossed Spears over the top rope, but Spears managed to hold on. As he tried to pull himself back into the ring, Bourne hit a dropkick on Page, sending him over the rope and taking Spears with him. Javon Evans was part of the Final Four, but he was eliminated by Spears and Page, who teamed up to toss Javon over the top rope. Trick Williams, who had been targeting Obafemi since losing the NXT title to the Ruler, got distracted, as I mentioned, by TNA World Champion Joe Hendry, leading to a familiar face when it comes to WWE, eliminating him. We'll talk about that in just a second as well. But Miles Bourne now will be challenging for the NXT Championship. Now, that familiar face I was talking about is Elijah, formerly known as Elias in WWE. Now, the Battle Royal on WWE NXT to determine Obafemi's challenger for the NXT Championship featured names from WWE LFG, WWE Evolve, and TNA Wrestling. The WWE LFG representatives included Shiloh Hill and Chris Ireland. WWE Evolve was represented by Timothy Thatcher, Ricky Smokes, Brad Baylor, and Sean Legacy. TNA Wrestling was represented by Zachary Wentz, a former NXT Tag Team Champion, and perhaps the biggest surprise was the return of Elias, now known as Elijah in TNA. The WWE Performance Center crowd in Orlando, Florida, greeted Elijah with welcome home chants. Elijah did not mention his old name, his brother Ezekiel, or the never-before-seen brother Elrod. However, Vic Joseph mentioned the potential of seeing his family members in commentary. Ezekiel, of course, was a character that Elijah played in 2022, shortly before being released by WWE on September 21st, 2023. Now, Elijah eliminated Charlie Dempsey very early on in the match. Still, Dempsey would be around at the end of the match to watch on as Ren Sinclair and Tavon Height celebrated with Miles Bourne, the winner of the Battle Royal and the person who would be going on to challenge Obafemi for the NXT Championship at NXT Battleground. Now, we've got a bit of a departure here from WWE NXT. Yoshiki Inamura is going back to Japan, and Josh Briggs has run into an old friend after losing his new tag team partner. Yoshiki Inamura came to WWE NXT on an excursion from Pro Wrestling Noah. On November 12, 2024, he made his WWE TV debut. Throughout his 6-month excursion, he was paired with Josh Briggs. The pairing had some miscommunication, which can be seen throughout their time as a team, including in the final match they participated in, a Battle Royal on May 6th, where Inamura accidentally eliminated Josh Briggs when he was trying to eliminate Ridge Holland. In a backstage segment, Inamura apologized for letting Briggs down, but also informed him that he was returning to Japan. As Briggs was shell-shocked and asking his partner not to go, he would be interrupted by his former tag team partner Brooks Jensen and his new group, The Culling. Briggs once abandoned Jensen during their time being paired with Fallon Henley. He also defeated Jensen on several occasions, leaving Jensen a shell of himself until Shawn Spears recruited him for the group he is in now. During his time in NXT, Yoshiki Inamura competed in 24 matches. Now, an interesting story here when it comes to one of the several releases we saw last week from WWE. Now, Riley Osborne was one of several WWE superstars recently released from their contract. Brian Alvarez has offered further insight on Wrestling Observer Live, claiming that Osborne was reluctant to go through with certain plans backstage. Alvarez explained, quote, "One of the big things was there are people that they want to go and help out Evolve." and I was told he did not want to go to Evolve, and he made it very well known. Now, although mainly an NXT superstar for the majority of his time in WWE, Osborne, who also wrestles as Josh Terry, has been featured twice on Evolve programming in February, losing to Oro Mensah and defeating Javier Bernal. Now, after a stint in NXT UK and a career on the UK indie scene, working primarily for Target Wrestling, Osborne moved to the main NXT brand in 2023. He became part of the Chase U stable, forming a core alongside Andre Chase, Duke Hudson and Thea Hale. He also briefly took part in TNA, even appearing in an Ultimate X match at the Emergence 2024 pay-per-view. Now, Osborne himself has actually clarified this on social media. To clarify the report, he did not want to go to Evolve. He said, quote, "I worked the first set of Evolve tapings the day after my wife was released. When I was told by head coach on a phone call that night, I can have it off tomorrow if I need time with my wife, as we had to pull out of the house. We were like 2 weeks from closing on. All I had to do was tell him, yeah, I'd just like a day to be with her. I was the first person in that building the next day and was commended on my professionalism. I will not have my work ethic questioned when I was busting my ass off in rehab to return, which I knew the return would have been on Evolve. Not everything you read online is true." Now, following his release, Osborne revealed he underwent surgery on his ankle/foot on March 7th. Now, an update here when it comes to several matches and segments being confirmed for next week's WWE NXT. Joe Hendry and Trick Williams will sign their contract for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship bout at NXT Battleground on next Tuesday's episode. The Battleground match was made official on this past Tuesday's episode of NXT. Plus, NXT champion Obafemi will compete on next Tuesday's NXT in a non-title match against Charlie Dempsey. Miles Bourne, who will face Femi for the title at NXT Battleground, helped facilitate the match in a backstage segment. Dempsey tried to take Bourne's title shot for himself after Bourne won the 25-man Battle Royal, but talked himself into a bout next Tuesday instead. Now, one of the releases involved former members of Meta-4 last week. Now, last week was a tough week for the NXT faction Meta-4. Not only did the group end up going their separate ways, albeit amicably on NXT, but a few days later, some of them found themselves employed. Former members Chikara Jackson and Oro Mensah were among the 17 wrestlers that parted way with the company on Friday, strongly suggesting that Mensah and Jackson's fates were sealed when WWE decided to split Meta-4 up. Whether that was actually the case or not remains a mystery, but on last Thursday's Wrestling Observer Radio, just a day before it was revealed that Mensah and Jackson were being let go, Dave Meltzer revealed that they and fellow Meta-4 members Lash Legend and Noam Dar only learned of the group's breakup hours before it aired on television. Quote, "That was decided that day," Meltzer said, or I shouldn't say decided, they got word of it that day. Now, the releases were still a day off. Both Meltzer and co-host Brian Alvarez seemed to have an inkling that WWE could be looking to move on from talents and speculated that certain booking decisions on the show could bode poorly for talents. Fortunately, Meltzer and Alvarez's speculation proved incorrect for some, with Ashanti and the family's Luca Crucifino both surviving the Friday cuts, despite Alvarez and Meltzer being concerned for them given their on-screen direction. Now, tonight, of course, it's AEW Dynamite on TBS, and several more matches have been confirmed for the show. On Tuesday night, AEW President Tony Khan announced that an AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator match that will feature 4 of the biggest stars in AEW's women's division will take place. Timeless Toni Storm won't be defending her title, but she will be defending herself against Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, and Anna Jay. That match is in addition to another huge match that was added to the Dynamite card last week, that being Samoa Joe versus Chloe Castagnoli. Kazuchika Okada will take on the Jet Kevin Knight in an AEW Continental Championship Eliminator match. Additionally, Matthew Jackson and Nicholas Jackson will team up with Ricochet to take on the team of Speedball Mike Bailey, Swerve Strickland, and Mark Briscoe. Will Ospreay is also scheduled for an interview segment to discuss his upcoming match of Hangman Adam Page at AEW Double or Nothing, of course that being the finals of the men's Owen Hart Cup. Now, the fallout from the roast of WrestleMania continues, and some have wondered, is there any heat on those that participated or even greenlit the show in WWE? The Tony Hinchcliffe hosted Roast of WrestleMania was one of the more controversial parts of this year's WrestleMania weekend, with recording of the show forbidden and multiple high-profile WWE superstars taking part, including Nia Jax, The Miz, and Sami Zayn. Audio excerpts of the show have since emerged before being taken down. Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp has an update on the situation, answering a question about potential heat on the wrestlers who took part. He reports, quote, "No heat from management. A few wrestlers didn't think it was a good idea, considering that the talent was booked out for it by the company. WWE knew it would be controversial. Also, contrary to rumors, they haven't sued anyone or sent legal letters about the copies of the roast going up. They've just done takedown requests." Appearing on Raw to promote the show, Hinchcliffe already got himself in hot water with wrestling fans after joking about Big E's neck injury. Reports have since emerged regarding several controversial jokes made during the roast. Much attention has been placed on Nia Jax's set, which reportedly included several jabs at Charlotte Flair. Others to participate included Paul Heyman, Braun Strowman, R-Truth, and a brief appearance by Triple H to close the night. And finally, we have the ratings for Friday's edition of SmackDown on USA Network. Friday night's WWE SmackDown episode averaged 1.406 million viewers on USA Network, which is down over 12% from the previous week. It's the lowest audience total for the show since April 4th, and is the third lowest viewership SmackDown has done so far this year. In the 18 to 49 demographic, SmackDown finished third on television in prime time with a 0.37 rating. That's a 27.5% decrease from last week, and is the lowest rating SmackDown has done in 2025. It ties the lowest number for the show in the 18 to 49 since November 15 of last year. The show went head-to-head with an NBA playoff game on ESPN that topped the TV charts with a 1.40 rating in 18 to 49 and averaged more than 4.6 million viewers overall, as well as going against an NHL playoff game that had a 0.20 rating and 644,000 viewers on TNT. As compared to the same week in 2024, when the show still aired on Fox, SmackDown's overall viewership is down 34.5%, while its 18 to 49 rating is down 38.3%. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As you can see right there, we're at 21,405 subscribers. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News Universe. In addition to that, you can join the members of the WN365 roster. Links in the video description. You can click the join button or scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.